So the first thing I'm going to start off with is something that I find personally to be the most important piece of equipment, both for comfort, durability, and to allow you to do everything you want to do for the day. And that is my walking boots. So I have got some extremely muddy and about 4 years old leather, which I recommend because it's more durable. It is slightly heavier, but it is also more waterproof and much warmer. These are Scarpa. I can't tell you the exact model because I've had them for such a long time that it's rubbed off and I couldn't tell you. Some people prefer to do surveys or go to the beach in wellies, which I do understand. However, if you are going to be doing surveys on rocky shores, for example, I would recommend walking boots. Just due to the ankle support that they give you, it's quite solid and rigid, so when you're going over those rock pools, you're less likely to twist an ankle if you slip or get it stuck down a little crevasse. The other thing is the grip, which you can't see on mine particularly well because they're so muddy. But the grip on a walking boot is vastly superior to most wellies, even the cheaper walking boots. So I highly recommend using that over wellies. If you are worried about getting your trousers wet or dirty or anything to do with that, gaiters, you can get slightly more high-tech gaiters than this, which turn your walking boots into more of a welly-like piece of equipment. But these just help keep the mud that you can see all over them. It's awful. I should really take better care of my kit to make it last longer. It keeps the mud off your trousers, and it can also help to keep you dry against splashes. The one thing you do need to think about with walking boots is obviously they're not as waterproof all the way up your leg as wellies are, so you are likely to get wet feet if you're not careful, although that's not the end of the world as long as your walking boots don't rub. I also recommend getting yourself a boot bag. Mine's probably really, yeah, it's bad, full of mud. So that when you get into the car, you can keep it all nice and clean, and you're not going to have to wash your car every trip and journey and get salt all over it, because that can be an absolute nightmare. Let's see, where do we go next? I'm going to talk about layers. Now, I personally prefer to layer up because this means if you get too hot, you can take some off, but if you get too cold, you can put some on, versus having a coat that does everything, which is an option out there. But then when you get too hot, you've got to take it off and you're instantly cold. So we're going to start off with a nice cheap budget Mountain Warehouse jumper. I've got 2 of these. I've had them for about 2 years and they've lasted me really well. I recommend getting things that zip just, that's quite hard to show you guys. Here we go, if I kneel on it. Zip only kind of from the chest area up. I can't do that, it's too fiddly, but I like that personally because if you do take a layer off, the wind's less likely to go through the whole top. It just goes through the little bit of the zip because that can be a weak point for some jumpers. Also, I don't know, it's just personal preference. I prefer the feel of it. Next piece of kit I'm going to get onto is the down jacket, the infamous Rab down jacket. This is the Rab Alpine jacket. I've had it for, God, it must be about 6 years now. The only thing that I've ever had to replace on it is the zip. It hasn't ripped and I haven't taken particularly good care of it. It has been through some thorn bushes, much more other more durable adventures, such as I sleep in it when camping. It's been through, I've used it whilst lighting fires. I haven't got any holes in it from spark, so I'd say it's done quite well, but these are fantastic jackets. This one is not particularly waterproof, but the feathers in it, as it is a down jacket, really helps to keep the heat next to your skin to prevent you getting cold, and it is slightly windproof. I do also recommend getting a hood. I don't know if you can see, but my hood's got a peak here, which is slightly harder than the rest of the hood, just to help keep that heavy rain or wind off your face, and also the sun out of your eyes if it's one of those lovely cold clear mornings. The next piece of kit we're probably going to move on to is the dry bags. Now, I've got 2 variations and routes that you can go down with these. So I've got this big, I think this is 30 litres because I've got a 35 litre rucksack that we'll get onto later. Very durable, will keep everything in your bag dry. That's what I prefer. However, I've just bought these. I haven't actually used them yet, but these are individual dry bags from OEX. I was talking to a guy in the shop actually. He said they're not that durable, but I wanted to try them out. So I've got a 5 litre, if it focuses. There you go, camera quality, it's never there, is it? I've got a 5 litre, a 10 litre, and a 15 litre here. This is quite good because I guess you can cut, what's the word? Yeah, you can put things in sections. Too much English. You can put things into sections to keep them dry, like you could put your phone and your wallet in the little 5 litre, you could put more layers in the 10 litre. It's always good to pack extra layers just in case you get cold. And then you can pack things like food if you're worried it's going to leak in the 15 litre, or yeah, I don't know, personal preference again. I'd probably consider layers, most importantly, to keep dry out of everything. Next thing we're going to move on to is the hiking trousers. Now, when I bought these, they said they were waterproof, but being soft shell, which in my experience hasn't been particularly waterproof, they're more water resistant. They are, however, nicely lined with fluff. I don't know if you can see that there. It probably just all looks black, but there you go, some fluff in there, which does make them really warm. And soft shell is windproof, and they're nice fitting, and they're very stretchy, and they're very nice and comfortable when you want to have a sit down halfway through your survey or just your walk next to the big pond. Yeah, I've had these for quite a few years, and they've also done some pretty tough adventures, and yeah, they're still going strong. I really like them. I've been quite happy with them. Make sure you get the right size is all I can say, because when I originally bought a pair, they were too tight around the waist, and that's just, it's all about comfort and practicality. And if you know, you want style, please don't judge me on mine. The next thing I'm going to move on to is the waterproofs. Now, I recommend with all kit, if it's going to be waterproof, you get Gore-Tex, because not only does it have a lifetime guarantee, but it is really, really, I mean, I've never been wet through Gore-Tex, ever. Just hasn't happened. It hasn't seeped through, and it is really durable. This jacket I've got is the Mountain Equipment. I think it's called the Soho jacket. It was very expensive. However, it is the new Gore-Tex Pro technology, and I just didn't fancy getting wet. Simple as that. I like to be dry. It's practical. Stops you getting things like hypothermia. It just makes the whole experience more pleasurable, and it's quite nice if it's really going hard out there with rain, to be able to just, you know, take the heat and chill. Take your day, your own pace, nice and slow. So yeah, as I said, this is Gore-Tex Pro. It's got special features such as armpit zips if you get too hot, which are sealed and waterproof. The zip in the middle is the KKY, I believe that's how you say it. YKK, sorry, my apologies. Which has been very durable so far. It's not waterproof, however, it does have a storm guard on it, which you can see here. It's this material going up here. So when zipped up, that will act kind of like a gutter and drip down and off our jacket. I've never been wet with it on at all. It's been absolutely fantastic. The next waterproofs that are essential is the waterproof trousers, which mine are also Gore-Tex from Berghorse. Absolutely fantastic brand. They are pretty new to my edition because I did have some non-Gore-Tex waterproof trousers which I'd had for some years, and the hydrostatic on it was 5,000, I think, but I just didn't find them waterproof enough, so it was time to change up and, you know, not cheapskate and put some money into it, and I'm very happy with the results. Now, everything else gets a bit higgledy-piggledy, ickety-bickety, but keep up with me on it. So we've got all these various items on the table here. We're going to keep going with layers. So I've got sealskin gloves, which are not actual sealskin for any vegans or vegetarians watching this channel. They're not even Gore-Tex either, but they are very warm. They are lightweight. They are easy to use things through, being thin, but they are also thermal fleece lined, and I'm very happy with them. Sealskin socks are always also an option. I haven't used them because I'm not so convinced on how breathable they may be, but again, personal preference. You guys may think it's a fantastic idea. My boots are also Gore-Tex, and other than it going in over the top, I've never had any problems with them at all. So, you know, credit to them. They've done good for the amount I use them. I use them probably every day. So, yeah, if you get leather ones, it is worth looking after them. Make sure you get some wax or something on them. Balaclava. Fantastic, keeps all the elements out, and also when you breathe in the cold air, it warms it up for you, so you don't get that horrible raspy feeling in your lungs. Highly recommend it. Obviously, it also gets all the hair, if you've got as much as me, out your eyes, so you can actually see. Next thing I've got, coming off layers now, more onto the practicalities of little its and bits you might want, is food. Very important. Make sure you got some. You never know what's going to happen on the trip or how long you're going to be there, or maybe if you just get hungry. So I've got something that's quick and sugary for a boost, something slightly more substantial, and then in my first aid kit, which you must have, and I recommend it being waterproof and more substantial than you think you're going to need, just in case you ever need to use it. I also in here have a Kendall mint cake, which is basically just pure sugar, but has enough calories in it if you're in an emergency to get you to hopefully where you need to be. Carrying on with the safety equipment, I'm rushing a bit because I do realise this is a very long video, so stay with me, we'll get there. We've got Van Gogh Storm Shelter here, 200, so 100 is for one person, 200 is for two. I always go slightly big just in case you go in a pair, which you always should for safety reasons. If you ever need to hunker down if one of you gets injured, or if you just can't take the weather and you want it to just go away. Up into a little ball and cry. Moving on, we have a water bottle. This is a 2.2 litre army bottle. It is aluminium, so it's nice and light and durable. And then a flask. This is a hydrostatic flask, and I highly recommend it. It's also used by the military, and it keeps things hot for 24 hours and cold for 6. Could be the other way around. But either way, essential to warm you up, and you can put things in it like soup if it's really smooth so you can drink it, but do be careful because it does come out hot. I've got a charger here which feels a bit wet, which I'm a bit worried about. I don't know what it should be. It is a solar charger, that's all it says. Very good. It does charge from the sun, although it does take a while. It did say water resistance on the website. I was hiking in Wales and dropped it into a river, and I can confirm that it's waterproof for about 30 seconds up to about 1.5 feet. But don't quote me on that because maybe your seal isn't as good as mine, you never know. And then of course you're going to need a cable. Don't forget that, otherwise it's pretty useless. And then for your food, I'm going to recommend that you get some antibacterial gel, because depending on what beach you're around in the big pond areas, there can be still things like sewage outputs and other inorganic or organic materials. No, not materials, it's the wrong word. Organic or inorganic nutrients, that's the word, around the area in the rocky pools or in the water or the sand itself. If you don't know what I'm talking about with organic and inorganic nutrients, go to the second blog post that I did, and it will give you a brief summary there. I am going to be doing something more in depth, so stay tuned for that. Head torch if you're going to go at night, which I do regularly because you see different things at night. Make sure it's powerful. This one, if it switches on, its bulb may have gone. That's not a good thing. But you can always buy new ones. This is the Blue Mountain. I think it was Night Stalker or something it had on the label when I bought it, which was about 3 years ago. It had, not sure if it still has, but it had 80 meters of visibility, which I found to be absolutely fantastic. You can see right at the beach and plan where you want to go. 2 more things left, so bear with me. 3 more things actually. The compass, okay? It's not much use without a map, so you may want to think about that. Make sure everything you've got in your bag is light, otherwise you're gonna, feel awful when you're carrying it. And then toilet roll. You never know when you're going to need it or what you're going to need it for. It could be something as simple as washing your hands or wiping away blood from a cut, or it's just practical. You never know when you're going to need it. And then the final piece of equipment, I promise, is the bag. Now, different makes suit different back shapes. I have quite wide shoulders for my size. That's why I choose the low Alpine, as stated on its shoulder strap, because it suits my back very well. I have a 90-litre low Alpine also, which is awesome, but you probably won't need anything. I go for slightly big, but only slightly. So I've got a 35-litre Air Zone Trail here, which I've had for... God, it's been on the other side of the planet with me. I've had it for about 6-7 years now. You can't even tell it's aged. It's a bit muddy, but other than that, everything works just as well as when I bought it new. Fits really well, got lots of compartments. And also the other feature I like is on the shoulder strap, which you'll be able to see in a second, is a whistle, which do not... It's really good. You don't need an extra whistle. I'll blow it, but it might wake up neighbours. Is loud. Okay, I don't even know if the camera would have picked it up. It's that loud. The other thing I quite like about it is on the top of the inside of the hood of the bag, here we have emergency signals and procedures should you need it if you ever get stuck, which I think is a fantastic addition if you're not so confident in what you're doing. But yeah, thank you very much, guys. That's my kit. That's all my personal preference and what I recommend. Yeah, happy going out onto the beach, and I hope you guys enjoy your little expeditions. Thank you very much, and I will see you again probably in about a week when I am looking at UN policies for military aspects on sustainability. So stay posted for that. See you guys in a bit. Bye.